Today I'm going to talk about breaking free from a covert narcissist relationship and how I set boundaries, how I set my boundary, how I got out of it, how I broke free, some personal stories of my experience of being with a covert narcissist and how I found out I was with one. And uh, yes, so I felt now is a good time. It's been enough time has passed. I've done a lot of work on myself on this matter, right? I believe I've healed myself. I I feel now I want to help someone who's been in the same situation that I had like 3 4 years ago, right? The situation of being of state of being state of confusion, state of anger, rage, and maybe depression even. They're just confused about what they just had, the relationship they had. And I want to help men, specifically men, because as I am a man as well, from my own experience, um, I want to help other men who are in the same boat or are in the same boat right now. They're confused. They don't know what's going on, why it ended, and what led to it. They missed the signs. They missed uh, the warning signs. They missed. They didn't trust their intuition. They were gaslit. They were manipulated. They were cheated on. Uh, so yeah, my personal story of about this is I'll start from the beginning. It's my I got married about in 2018, and it was a I got married in 2018, but it was a long distance relationship. We weren't Once we got married, we weren't living together. We were living in different countries. Different. She was in the UK. I was in Saudi Arabia, and um, so most of my most of my relationship was on WhatsApp and other social media platforms. We would meet each other every 3 months. Either I would go to her, or she would come to me. Things like that. But there are many warning signs that I missed out on before knowing. How I found out about her being a covert narcissist is only like a year later, almost a year later after we got divorced, because I was still trying to make sense of what happened. And once I got one solid confirmation that she eventually married the guy that I used to suspect her with, and within 10 months of my divorce, after my divorce, and once I came to the realization that my suspicions were true, I went on this spiral, this journey of finding out I have like intellectual needs. And I like to read, so I want to understand the character. I like to understand psychology. It's just my hobby. So I want to understand the traits of a cheater, right? And once I went down that rabbit hole, I came across this term, covert narcissist, which is not the narcissist that you would be familiar with, right? This is a bit more subtle in their actions, and they only show it to their partners. They only show their true nature to their partners. And what you may call, when I found this out, I realized that I was in a relationship with a covert narcissist, and a lot of things made sense. I got a lot of clarity, and for a long time, I felt that it's their problem, it's their fault. That's it. I was good on my side. I am free from any. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm free from any wrongdoing from my part. I did my part. I played my role as a husband as best as I could, even though I was long distance, you know. And she just took advantage of me, right? And I was almost in a state of victimhood, but only like a year later of come to this realization that, you know, she had this disorder, BPD, bipolar personality disorder. That as men, we have to be responsible and held accountable for our actions. We can't be victims. Only women and children can be victims. Men can't. Men shouldn't. Men can. Bad things happen to men, but this was. I don't want to be a victim. I'm not. Understand. Like, if you look at these words, if you look at psychologists or therapists talk about these things, they talk about trauma bonding, and like trauma bonding, or like, you know, narcissistic abuse, right? Things like that, and pretty much telling you that you are a victim. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're not a victim, okay? And I want you to, I want people to understand that they can, if they look back at the relationship, right, how it started, right? Because as a man, we're the ones who initiate, right? Initiate most relationships. And so if we saw the signs early, but we did not act upon them, we did not draw any lines. We're like, no, you can't do this, or you can't do that, right? Well, I was more of a go with the flow kind of guy, you know. I'll let you do what you do if you let me do what I do, kind of thing. And that's not right, you know. It's there's different things that, you know, different roles that men and women play when, especially in a marriage, right? There should be a bit more restraint, more compromises on both ends. It can't just be from one side. One person's bending over backwards, you know, trying to please the other. So yeah, the warnings, there were signs from before, like, you know, I didn't have a proper connection. One of them was like, it didn't have a deep connection with her. It was just a little surface level. Like, I couldn't get deeper with her, which is fine. I am understood. I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe not. Not everybody has the same mental capability to do with that. But, you know, I guess she was attractive, so I let that slide. But, like, you know, other things were that, you know, if you don't like something, like my relationship was long distance mainly, so, you know, all of it's on chat. It depends on how we respond and things like that, you know. I suffer from silent treatment from her, you know, like she would not talk to me for like a couple of weeks, and we were texting every single day for like 3 years, almost, let's say 2 years, right? Like since a year before the actual wedding, and like almost 2 years after that. As it progressed towards the divorce, the communication went down, of course, and that's where I grew a pair of balls, I guess, where I just got tired of it. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. Like, why should I sit 1,000 miles away and get pissed off about somebody else's actions? Why should I have to deal with this? I don't have to deal with this. One of the things that I had, one of the boundaries that I had was, you know, the communication. How if someone reaches out to you, or I ask a question, if I reach out to you or I ask you a question, you get back to me in a sufficient time frame, right? Not like an hour later, 2 hours later, or we're in mid conversation. I left you with a question and you don't answer back to me. That's happened many times. one time it happened, and then one day I called her in the evening. I called her once. I'm not that guy who will be like calling someone constantly until they pick up. I called her once, I left it. I expect you have a functional phone, right? iPhone, Samsung, Android, whatever have you. If you get notification, you will see the call that I called you. She didn't call me back. It was evening. It was like probably 7, 8 o'clock at the UK time. The next day in the morning, she messages me, "Hey, you called. What's up? What's up? I called you. You saw the missed call. Why didn't you call me back?" "Oh, I just chose to talk to you today, respond today." "Oh, thank you for responding." And that was it. I didn't talk to her for a couple of days. I told my parents, I called my parents, I'm like, "I'm going to divorce her. I'm divorcing her. I'm done." I wasn't even angry. I was just calm. I was like, "Listen, I'm done. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Why should I waste energy, right?" I was even in this mind frame, and I wasn't knowledgeable about energies, frequencies, and all that stuff at that time. But I just knew I didn't want to be in that state of anger over somebody else's actions 1,000 miles away. I'm sitting alone in my room, in my house without her. What's the point? So I said I want a divorce. And then her father, like, we didn't talk for a week. Her father intervened. He is in London too, so we got on a conference call. We got on a conference call and he reconciled. He's like, "Okay, we'll work it out and stuff." He's like, "What do you want?" And that's when I set my second boundary. Like, this long distance thing is going to end. I want her to come to me in Saudi Arabia. And her first reaction was like, "Oh, that's not fair." And her dad, wise man, he's like, "Beta, life is not fair." I was like, nice. What he wants, you get. If he wants you to come, you go. All right, cool. Later on, like, her dad talked to me. Oh, I'll get to that later. But yeah. So our communication, like, even after divorce, like, was still going down. Like, she didn't, when someone gets hit by the chance of getting divorced, especially if you would think, if you like the relationship, you want to keep it together. You don't want a divorce. People don't get married to get divorced. There was no effort on her part to improve the relationship. And but quietly, I was still working on the process of, doing the application for her visa to come to me. But when I did all my part from my end, from my country, and I sent it over to her, and then she said, the embassy was closed. The embassy in London was closed. Saudi embassy was closed because of COVID reasons or something. So she couldn't get a hold of them for a couple of days. Then she messaged me, "Hey, how do you feel about me coming down to Saudi Arabia, like, to you?" I'm like, "Well, I'm not ecstatic exactly, right? This is on FaceTime, on video call. I'm not ecstatic about this. Like, our relationship is, it's not in the best situation, right? We didn't talk for about 2 weeks, and which time our anniversary happened as well, and we just wished we just wished each other happy anniversary as a formality, Like, in the evening, she messaged me, "Hey, happy anniversary." I messaged a few hours later. I was busy. I was doing an exam, unbeknownst to her. I didn't tell her at that time. So I wasn't able to talk But I responded after 5 hours later at night, late night, that, oh, there's nothing to be happy about, but happy anniversary. Anyways, so she's like, okay, yeah, so I don't want to come. I'm like, okay. I did not react. I did not get angry. She's like, now what? Like, she doesn't know. Like, she played dumb, right? So this is one of her, I guess, one of her manipulative tactics. So a little background knowledge, and we're Muslims, right? So there's 2 divorces. There's one divorce that a woman does and one that a man does. When a man divorces a woman, he doesn't get anything back from any gifts, anything he's given her back, right? But when a woman divorces, there is this thing called haq meher, which is like a money or jewelry that is agreed upon on the day of marriage, on the day of the signing of the contract, of marriage. Nikah in Islam is called, that you get back, right? So because I was the one who divorced her, right, I don't get shit. But yeah, I went through with it. When she said that she's not coming, my second boundary, because I was done. That was it. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not going to move around. I'm not going to continue. There's no point to this. I don't want to go to London. She doesn't want to come here. So what's the point, right? And I think women should be a bit more compromising in this regard, especially on where to live. They should live wherever the husband decides, right? I mean, most of the time, men are the higher earners, right? Are the main breadwinners. They should be the ones deciding where to go and live. I was indecisive at that time. I was very indecisive, and as I said, I was go with the flow kind of guy. I had many options, right? I could have gone to Canada, I could have gone to Dubai, I could have stayed in Saudi Arabia, I could have gone to London. I had many options. I felt like the world was my oyster, as they say. But indecision led to inaction, so we got to that point where I had to put my foot down and say, no, you're coming to me. And she said, no, we ended it. That's when, those were the proper boundaries that I set. I mean, the people have different relationships, different types of relationships. Most of them are living with, especially when they're married, they live with them, right? And it's harder to deal with them when they're on the face-to-face, right? Maybe the signs are way more apparent, right? I couldn't see things, right, clearly. I didn't have any proof of things, so I let things slide. But when she said she didn't want to come to me, my initial reaction was relief. Like the weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I was calm, relaxed. It's like I broke the chain, of constantly looking at the phone when she responds or when she, talks to me, right? I was attached to the phone, like how people are attached to the chat GPT or Siri, whatever. It's coming. That's another story. Yeah. So I wanted to talk about that, and yeah. I guess when I did that, I kind of realized my self-worth. Maybe I had low self-esteem. I don't know. I wasn't sure. I definitely lacked confidence in my decision making. I wasn't assertive. Definitely not assertive. I used to overthink things. Obviously, especially when you're in a long distance relationship, when you can't see the person, you have to overthink simple things that you want to say, right? The words you say, how you type it. I would send paragraphs on fighting on on text, fighting on text, in paragraphs, and you end up walking on eggshells because you don't say the right thing. You get the silent treatment, or you get something that you don't like. You get disrespected, right? So yeah, I claimed my freedom when she said she didn't want to come to me. I was free from it all. I didn't have to deal with that 3 years of that shit, of 3 years of chat history, right? I had it on chat, I had it on record, so it was easy for me to scroll through and see where it went wrong and stuff, reevaluate things. It's only when I got confirmation that she cheated that I deleted the chat and not wanted to look at that anymore. For 2 days I was dazed when I found out she married that guy. I was angry, dazed. Then I somehow just deleted the chat completely, just shit. And deleted the chat, but not the pictures. That took a long time. Wherever I could find it took ages, like probably 4,000 pictures, on the phone of her. I even deleted pictures of my wedding, right? I mean, with her in it. But then I realized soon after, I realized now that I lost a part of me in that process of deletion, because I was in those pictures as well, and I was happy. I was happy in those pictures. I lost that part of me. But yeah, I just want to help men that are in that kind of situation, which I was in 3-4 years ago, and I feel I did a lot of inner work, a lot of reading, a lot of listening to podcasts, audiobooks, and I feel like I've healed. I've confirmed it as well. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, after a divorce, even 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I don't know, I'm constantly getting better. I feel I'm getting better. Now I'm in Bali. This is the new setup. You'll be seeing a lot more of this in the days to come, hopefully. This will be my new setup, my new base for now. I hope you enjoyed this talk and you got something out of it. And I hope you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and check out my next few videos where I'll talk more about these topics and my story, and maybe I can give you some insight, some advice on how to get yourself out of this situation, right? Whether you're in it currently, in the relationship currently, or you've been through it and the relationship is over and you're in that gray area where you don't know what the fuck just happened, right? And you're confused, you're angry, and I'm here to tell you, you're not alone. That's all for now.